Hello guys and gals and welcome to another episode of Unique Items. Today we're going to be taking a look at another unique item. This one is a shield, and it seems to be set up for a fire build, which could be really interesting. It's called Rise of the Phoenix Omen Crest Shield. This shield has 25% block chance, 50 armor, and 19 energy shield, so it's a armor energy shield split. It does require level 36, 37 strength, and 37 intelligence. And it does, of course, grant you the skill Raised Shield, which allows you to block incoming hits, which is really cool. You basically just hold it up, and it just you don't take any damage while you have your shield raised. Block chance, however, seems to be something different than the Raised Shield block, which is basically just you holding your shield in front of your face and saying, "Don't hit me." Um, it does, however, come with some really nice stats here, and we're going to take a look at them. So it comes with 20 to 25% fire resistance, which is really nice. It also comes with a maximum fire resistance bonus, which means that it's going to increase your fire resistance above the cap. As you can see right now, I'm currently at 75%, but it says I'm at 99 total, which means that if I put this on, it's going to allow me to go above that cap, and now I can reach 80%, which I was not capable of doing before, which is really freaking cool. It also gives you regeneration of life, but instead of giving you a flat regen, like a lot of other items do, which is... so do I not have any regen items? There you go, 3.7 life regeneration per second. Instead of giving you a flat regen, it's giving you a regeneration per second of percent, which is kind of actually really cool. It also gives you 3% regeneration life per second while on low life. Two different bonuses, so you get an additional 3%, which is 6%. To give you an idea of like how much that would be, if we pull up a calculator real quick, we can sort of like run this on the build. So we got 1,261, right? And then we just minus 90. What is it? 6, 7, 8, 9, 97%. Which is going to give us a total of 37.83, which if you compare that to my boots or my ring, which is only giving me 3.7 life per second, that's an additional large amount. It's like 10 times the amount as my current ring. And then if we multiply that by 2, because if you go on low life with this particular shield, you're going to get double, so that's about 75.66 per second. Now, to put that into perspective, you know, like for instance, if my life is 1,261, so 1,261 divided by the 37.83, that means that it's going to take approximately 33.33 seconds to regenerate my life. Now, low life is considered 35%, so you have to like do this equation even differently. It's a little wonky. So we do 1,261 minus, what is that, 32, let's see, 100 minus 35 is what, 65%? Yeah, 65%. So 1,261 minus 35%, or sorry, no, not 35%, 65%. Heh. We just did the number, and I still did it wrong. 1,261 minus 65%. So there you go. We've got what? 819 is our leftover, and then from 441 up, that's where we get the double regen. So for the double regen, it's going to apply to anytime we're lower than that amount, so 442, anytime we're lower than 442. And then the single 3% regen is only going to apply when we are at 818, which means that if you got a particularly strong hit, you would regenerate really fast up to 442. Probably wouldn't take you very long at all. In fact, you could take that number, 441.35, and divide that by our original number of 75.66. Which would get us a total number of seconds to reach that around 6, if you round that up. So about 6 seconds, you would reach your 442, which isn't bad at all. It's actually kind of an interesting shield. The flavor text on this says, "My bearer shall be guarded by flame, for I am the phoenix, forever radiant in glory." Now let's take a look at the tree real quick, and let's see if there's anything special that you could potentially do with this tree. I think... I don't know if they have it in the game right this second, because there's a lot of stuff that they still have yet to add, but let's take a look anyway. Oh yeah, and I missed the 25% resistance while in low life. So we have another 25% resistance while in low life. So obviously this shield is going to make you extremely resistant to fire and also help you regenerate life relatively quickly. So let's do ourselves a favor and let's just type in a fire on the tree. And let's see if we come up with anything interesting. Now I know for a fact that there's a couple interesting nodes, like 75% of damage converted to fire, but you deal no non-fire damage. There's also obviously things that are going to help you penetrate fire resistance, but that's not quite what we're looking for. I'm not entirely sure that they have what we're looking for on the board, but we can always at least check. My assumption is it would be something like converting all damage that you take into fire, similar to the way the other one converts all the damage that you deal into fire, which is also kind of interesting. Gain 8% of damage as extra fire damage. Okay. That's a pretty powerful board. For fire. But not what we are looking for. It is not the fire that we are looking for. Increase fire damage. It's this one. Damage penetrates 15% of fire resistance. Fire exposure lowers total resistance by an extra 5%. Okay. 50% increased fire damage. Nah, that's not what we're looking for either. That one is fire exposure. This one is fired. Not quite what we were looking for at all. 2% to maximum fire resistance for each 40% uncapped fire resistance. 1% to maximum, 1% to maximum. 2% to maximum fire resistance for each 40% uncapped fire resistance. I think this would probably feed into this, wouldn't it? Because you could get massive amounts of fire resistance, and then you could also bring up your maximum fire resistance as much as possible. Obviously, this shield gives you a very large amount of fire resistance already, so there's that. And then you could add in even more on top of that. I seem to remember a build from Path of Exile 1 that had to do with fire and basically making yourself kind of like immortal through fire damage. And, I mean, it's under 15% fire resistance. I mean, there's nothing on here that strikes out at me specifically as a build for this shield. But I think it's because it's not in the game yet. I think that's really all there is to it. In fact, let me do like a quick little search right here. And, here, what's the name of the shield? I bet you if I search for Rise of the Phoenix Shield. Righteous Fire Build. That's apparently what it's called on Path of Exile 1. So I was remembering correctly. What is Righteous Fire for Path of Exile 1? Righteous Fire is a spell that applies a permanent buff on the player which grants more spell damage to the user while active and applies a potent burning effect on the player and surrounding enemies that scales with the user's maximum life and energy pool. So basically you burn yourself to get extra damage, which of course, increasing your resistance and your maximum resistance would be very important for this because that would allow you to completely negate the negative effect, which is very interesting. Yes. And that would definitely feed into the node that I was looking at earlier, which gives you increased maximum fire resistance. So with this particular shield, and of course also that node, you could potentially stack your maximum fire resistance all the way up to the cap, then igniting yourself. But they don't have Righteous Fire in the game yet, which is unfortunate. But they will, I'm sure, eventually. There's many, many things still coming that haven't been added into the game yet. Let's take a look at the graphic. I forgot to look at the graphic. And let's see what it looks like, shall we? That's kind of interesting. That's not bad. Kind of has like a bunch of feathers all over it, though. Not really sure about all the feathers. It's like kind of like a golden Aztec sort of a look to it. And it's really interesting because, like in a lot of other games, you know, like Diablo 2, for instance, they never look like the graphic. These items look exactly like the graphic, which is amazing. Anyway, as always, I do appreciate you guys and gals joining me for these videos, even when we're just taking a look at the unique items in Path of Exile 2. I do plan to do one video for every one of these, and eventually maybe we'll get into some more stuff. I want to do like builds with some of these items, and you know, we're probably going to be making a lot of characters. It's going to be fun. So make sure you hit that like button and the subscribe button, because there's going to be more, and keep watching.